So some people say that being an entrepreneur and running a company is much harder than being employed. And I can see how this is meant if we consider that an employee has usually has one specific task, or a management task, taking care of a team, or solving a specific problem, programming something, selling something. So an individual contributor and a manager still both would be given certain tasks to fulfill. Being in such a position might be the best for many, many people. However, I see, or at least from my experience, it was super hard for me to do the boring work, the work that required doing things that were repetitive and just needed just needed well, let's put it, let's call it grunt work. This was just crushing me when being on a payroll, when being employed. However, this kind of work doesn't disturb me as much since I'm an entrepreneur and running my own company. This work just is like any other work. I have to do it, and I just do it without complaining. Whereas the creative work, the writing articles, talking about my business, is like, doesn't feel like it work at all. So in a way, you can say that having this circumstance, it might even be easier to run a company, to be an entrepreneur, than being employed for certain people, because you are in a way forced to succeed, or at least do your best. You cannot sit around for too long, and that makes a huge difference how you approach what you do. Whether you go on Hacker News and waste your time on Twitter or not. Whereas if you're employed, the designer in the company where I worked, he was stating it in this way. He said that it doesn't really matter if you do great work or exceptional work. At the end of the year, there might be a little bit bigger bonus, but in the end, it doesn't really matter if you do exceptional work. I mean, it might be different in US companies, but here in Europe, it really, at least at the companies that I saw, it's kind of, you don't have a huge motivation to excel every day. Whereas if you're an entrepreneur, you know that each single thing that you do can make or break a deal. Each email that I write, each phone call that I have, each word that I say can make or break a deal, literally, and decides whether I will be able to pay rent or not. I have to be equally nice to clients that pay me, and candidates I talk to, and also freelancers or employees I pay, because those people, I wouldn't pay or work with them if they wouldn't be super valuable to me. But I know that at any point they could find another place to work that maybe pays better or gives them better conditions. And I try to treat them as well as I can, because at this point I do have skin in the game. So I feel I'm in a complete different mode. So right now it's almost midnight, and I've had two. Actually, I had a caffeine pill because I was too lazy and didn't have time to cook coffee, which takes 2 minutes. I just took a caffeine pill, just because it's quicker and I know how much caffeine is in there. And I did that because I have too many emails opened, and I want to answer candidates until Monday morning. And this is what I'll be doing right now. And I kind of feel happy, although sometimes the work really crushes me, and I'm asking myself what the fuck I'm doing here and why I quit my well-paid programming job. But I hope in the end it will be worth it, and that the concept of skin in the game and having something to lose will continue pushing me as hard as as hard as possible, but not too hard that I break, but hard enough that I do produce something valuable and give a service to the world that is worth paying for.